years ago, I played Miranda in The Tempest for the National Theatre's Education Department. We were 5 actors and we took the play all around the country. But on this particular morning, we were in a cold gym hall in Wales. Our small set, dwarfed by the huge gym hall, a bit like this one. And it had those ladders that go up the side of the wall. Our audience were a group of teenagers who looked like they'd been made to come and had never heard a word of Shakespeare in their life. In many respects, our target audience. And as we started the play, they become more and more uncomfortable. They shifted around, made noises, spoke openly to their friends. And then one of the actors made a brave choice. He made a brave decision. This large, powerful, ginger actor who was playing Caliban bounded onto the stage, straight past our set, right over to the ladders, climbed up the wall, nearly taken it off the wall, got to the top, stopped and said, "Be not afeard. The isle is full of noises, sounds and sweet airs that give delight and hurt not." He'd taken the fear and energy and awkwardness, the noises of the teenagers, and turned it around to captivate the room. He created a ball of energy, and we, the other 4 actors, were ready to catch it, knowing that if we dropped it, we dropped their focus and attention too. So we flowed and led and listened and played and connected and trusted until we reached a tipping point with the audience. They joined our swarm, and together we took the play to the end to rapturous applause. Now, this is intuitive collaboration. Intuitive collaboration. And this is what I want to talk to you about today. So, what is intuitive collaboration, and how can we recreate it in other places? Well, the answer lies in the world of ants. Now, ants use this thing called stigmergy, which is derived from 2 Greek words. One word, stigma, meaning mark, the other one meaning ergon, action. And what they do is they make a mark and they build on that mark to create more action. Now, the group goal of ants is to build their home, build their ant colony. The means of doing it is individual responsibility. Now, what an ant does is they take their ball of soil and they lace it with their smell, and then they put it down, they place their mark. Another ant, with their ball of soil, smells out the other mark and puts it on top of it. Now, what these ants don't do with their ball of soil is go, interesting mark over there, but I'm going to put it over here. No, they don't do that. They build on the mark that was there before. And that is stigmergy in action. So, a pile becomes a pillar. A pillar becomes an arch, a hole becomes a tunnel, and so an ant colony is created. Now, even the scientists that work with these ants every day say that ants aren't that clever. But ant colonies are. Now, we, as humans, we're pretty smart. So just think what we could do if we consciously harnessed the power of intuitive collaboration. So why is it that when we see a swarm that we try to squash it? The music industry tried. In 1999, Napster created a peer-sharing music site. One person bought a piece of music, they put it online, somebody built on that mark, and so through stigmergy, they built and then they created a swarm. And the swarm grew, so at its height, Napster had 70 million users. 70 million. Did the music industry listen? Yes. They said to their bosses, This is the way of the future. They shouted at their bosses, this is the way of the future. But did they listen? No. They tried to squash the swarm. Just think what could have happened if they had built on the learnings of Napster and created their own swarm, or built pillars and arches to Napster and created a new tipping point. But no, they decided to squash the swarm, and as a result, the music industry lost control of the price of music and the means of delivery of that music. Squashing rarely works long term. So I believe that big corporations can be intuitively collaborative, but sometimes it needs a crisis to do it. In 1990, I just left university and I was working on the BBC Radio 4 Today programme. I was getting the scripts and the briefs ready for the presenters arriving in a few hours' time. And it was the middle of the night and I heard the phone ring. And it was on the editor's desk, so I went over, he wasn't there, picked it up. And it was Bob Simpson on the line from Iraq. It was the 2nd of August 1990. And he told me that the Gulf War had begun. The programme's running order got scrapped. We needed to stand down all the contributors and we needed to create a new programme in a matter of hours. We had a clear focus, we had the clear people that we had to find, and then we had to start bashing the phones to make this programme happen. This was intuitive collaboration. We had to work together, listening to each other, making sure that we didn't overlap, because if we did, we'd be phoning people at 5:30 in the morning, it wouldn't look good. And we had to make sure that we were going at the same rhythm so we hit our deadline of the programme. This was intuitive collaboration, but as soon as that programme finished, the hierarchical structure went back into place. In the morning meeting, I had an idea. I was ignored. Somebody more senior had the same idea, and it was taken on board. Listening seemed gender and status specific. But in intuitive collaboration, listening has no status because the leaders learn to listen to the grassroots and the grassroots learn to lead. And this can happen on a large scale. I know because I was in the opening ceremony of the Olympics in 2012. I played one of the nurses that was pushing the beds around to make the two acronyms. GOSH, Great Ormond Street Hospital. Don't know if you remember it, but I had a baby's head made out of the same beds with two eyes, a tear, and a little hair on the baby's head. The second acronym we had to make was NHS, National Health Service. Now, my bed was right at the top of the stadium, next to the baby's hair, and I had to make it all the way to the bottom of the other side of the stadium, to the bottom of the N. It was a logistical nightmare. So the leadership team asked for our help. They said, can you try and sort this out? Because we can't, the mathematics is too complicated. And we said yes. So at first, we were getting in each other's way, and it was an absolute nightmare. Tempers got quite frayed. But after a while, we started to swarm. And I realised now we were following the rules of swarm intelligence. The first rule is stay close to your neighbours. Well, it ended up there was quite a few of us at the top of this baby's head that had to make it all the way down there. So we kind of stuck together. The second rule was don't collide. Well, we did that a couple of times at the beginning, but after a little bit of a time, we started to find our rhythm, which took us to the third rule of swarm intelligence, which is go at the same pace as those around you. Now, in this huge stadium, there were some people going really fast around the outside. The nurses that we kept on colliding into before were going a little bit slower in front of us, and we, as this group, had found our own pace. We got there after a few rehearsals to the bottom of the N, and everybody together swarmed, and we did it, gosh, to NHS in 40 seconds. There were 800 nurses and 300 beds in the way. It was such a buzz. Now, I use intuitive collaboration in my work every day. I build bespoke training courses with my clients. But I was curious if there was any other way that you could consciously use intuitive collaboration. And an opportunity arose a year afterwards. When my daughter went to school, the school told me that there was a 3 to 5 year waiting list to get into the after school club. I didn't know what to do. I had no childcare and I was lost. And I went into my local cafe and spoke to my dear friend Jackie Schmitzu, who's our community cafe guru. And she said, wait a minute, I think the community centre is tendering for an after school space. I was like, could this be Stigmergy in action? I thought, I can't do this on my own. And I thought, if I can learn from all these experiences, maybe I can make this happen. So I asked other people for help, parents who I'd known their kids since they were babies. So we already had a good connection. We trusted each other. But now I needed to find people to swarm with. So I asked, and 1 became 6. Now, I don't know if any of you have set up a business, but it can sometimes take a little bit of time. In this instance, we flowed. We needed a company set up. Suzanne did it. We needed a website. Jake did it. We needed Ofsted regulations. Cher did it. We needed a logo. Dawn did it. We needed recruitment. Juliana did it. And so the Children's Creative Community Club was born. So, as you go out tonight and look up into the autumn skies, you might see a flock of birds. Or if you're lucky, a starling murmuration, flowing and leading, listening and playing, connecting and trusting. And I ask you, what could you do to be an intuitive collaborator? Could you, like Jonathan, go up the ladders and be brave to make your first mark? Or join another swarm and build on one that already exists? Or start something new and ask people to join you? Or find an answer by giving up the controls? We can all flock. We can all lead. And we can all trust. So what are you going to do to be an intuitive collaborator? Thank you.